In this short video, what I'd like to do is try and teach you 3 things that you can do to improve the quality of your public speaking and your presentation skills before you even open your mouth. Because one principle that I learned from my time as a professional athlete before I got into the world of entrepreneurship and the corporate world is this: the game starts before the whistle blows. The game starts before the whistle even blows. And you can win or lose that match by your preparation, through how you approach things, through your mindset, and all the hard work you've done before you step into the stadium and before you step over that white line and the referee's whistle blows. So here's 3 things that you should be doing that you maybe aren't in order to improve the quality of your public speaking. Number 1, your content diet. Have a really good look at what you are imbibing in your content diet and the quality of things that you're ingesting. So this relates to the theory of maximal taste. The theory of maximal taste dictates that the quality of whatever comes out when you're writing and your speech is determined by your ceiling, not your floor. And what this means is that the highest articulation that comes out of your mouth is dictated by the highest quality material that you are capable of understanding, capable of ingesting and understanding. So if you are able to imbibe quality literature, quality books, quality poetry, quality podcasts, quality videos, hopefully like this one, that give you some kind of ammunition, that give you some kind of new insight and intelligence, that will help you become more articulate. You will literally absorb that wisdom by osmosis. If, however, you only consume trash on Netflix, you only read short form articles on the internet that have no nutritional value, the quality of your articulation will suffer as a result. The good news is that you can still ingest Love Island on Netflix, but you must also read good poetry, read good long-form articles, listen to quality podcasts so that you absorb those healthy principles and those healthy calories, intellectual calories, okay? So it doesn't mean you have to completely rule out the junk food, but you must also be capable of ingesting and understanding the really nutritional stuff, because that will affect the quality of your speech, okay? It's natural. Rubbish in equals rubbish out. That's the principle. Rubbish in equals rubbish out. So be very mindful of the quality of the material that you're ingesting. It will have a material effect on the way you articulate yourself. And what I would say is don't only focus on business books. I think a lot of people who are watching this or listening will think, oh, I have to read the latest business book. Go back in time. Go back and read the oldest fiction books. If they're still bestsellers, if they're still living on the bookshelves hundreds of years later, that means there is something in there that is worth reading. Okay? They wouldn't have survived this long otherwise. There is wisdom contained in the old books, especially in fiction books as well. Some of the best lessons I've learned for business and entrepreneurship have come from works of fiction. You will learn so much about human nature, human psychology and behavior through fiction as you will some business book. Because most business books, let's be honest, the latest ones, they're essentially one good idea fleshed out into 10 chapters because the guy wants to go on a speaking tour, and that's all it is. So look for quality fiction as well as non-fiction too. So one thing that will happen as you start to ingest this higher quality material is that you will start to develop a taste. You will start to develop a sense, a sixth sense for what quality looks like. What does high quality speech sound like? What does high quality writing look like? And you'll start to internalize those principles, and they will start to be expressed in your own writing and your own speech, because so much of human learning is mimetic, right? It's copying and it's imitation. And you don't want to steal, but you can certainly borrow principles from the world's very best speakers on podcasts, from the world's very best writers, right? In literature, poetry, again, is a wonderful place to understand rhythm. And for me, poetry is about compression of meaning. Lots of people don't really like poetry. They don't know what it's for. There's many things that it's for, but one thing that is interesting about it, if you're very left brain or logical, is the compression of meaning. They can compress so much meaning into so few words. That is a beautiful skill to have, and it will help you in anything that you do. The second thing you can do is be alert. David Whyte, the poet, said, alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. And most people walk through the world completely on autopilot. They're not alert to their surroundings. They're not aware of what's going on around them. And especially with the content diet, they are ingesting things, they're watching things very passively. So even when I'm watching Netflix, even if I'm watching something on TV or at a movie, I'm still trying to understand. I'm still trying to deconstruct what I'm seeing and why it's making me feel a certain way. I want to know what it is exactly about it that makes me feel sad, happy, elated, inspired. Often it's just the musical score that makes you emotional and puts a tear in your eye. But I want to understand why it makes me feel a certain way. And you can't do that if you're moving through the world on autopilot or constantly distracted, looking at your phone, So this also relates to your daily conversations, the conversations you have at work, the conversations you have with your friends. If someone says something and it lands, make a mental note of it. Even better, write it down and keep that as almost this running catalog. I personally have a Google Doc that is almost 1,000 pages long. There's numerous Google Docs actually, cumulatively probably over 1,000 pages long, where I've started to collect and absorb examples of high quality speech, examples of high quality turns of phrase. And if I have them there, I can refer to them and I can start to internalize them. So number one is your content diet. Number two is alertness. You have to be alert, you have to be present, you have to be aware of what's going on around you, and you'll start to attenuate to quality. Number three, write things down. For God's sake, most people do not write enough in their daily lives. And it's such a cheat code for the ability to be more persuasive, the ability to be more articulate. And don't take it from me, take it from Neil deGrasse Tyson, one of the very best speakers out there, one of the best podcast guests, one of the most charismatic and intelligent people on planet Earth. Neil deGrasse Tyson was asked honestly by an interviewer, how are you so articulate? How are you always able to come up with this pithy, poetic answer to any question I give you? And he said, the honest answer is because I've already spent hours, if not days, if not weeks, if not months, thinking about the question, thinking about the problem, and writing it down. He writes extensively. And writing things down, clarifying your thought processes, will help you become more articulate when you get on the microphone. As I always say, clarity of speech comes from clarity of thought. Clarity of speech comes from clarity of thought. And the only way, or perhaps not the only way, but the best way of achieving clarity of thought is writing. It's writing. Through the art of writing, it acts as a filter for your thoughts, because when you're just having things bounce around in your mind, it's like cloudy water. It's like that tap in an old New York apartment that's rusting. You have to let the dirty water run out for a few minutes, right, before it starts to run clear. And that's the act of writing. It starts to filter that water until it's clear, crystal clear, and you're just left with what is essential. So I would encourage you to write things down. What do I write down, Michael? Number one, you can write down quotes that you find inspiring, passages from books that you find particularly motivational or moving. A lot of people do that already, right? They collect their favorite anecdotes and quotes. The next stage or next evolution of that really is to write down your values, write down your principles. What are the principles that I live by? What do I stand for? What do I stand against? So charisma is what you stand against. Conviction is what you stand for, right? What do I stand for? What do I stand against? What are the principles I want to live my life by? Right? Everyone here, if you're honest, you all want to live a self-authorized life. You do not want to be a minor character in somebody else's play. You want to be the main character, right? We talk about main character energy. You want to live a self-authorized life. So taking the time to distill your values, how you want to move through the world, what's important to you, who's important to you, those are really good things to write down. And it will just mean that it's top of mind anytime you get on a microphone or you get on stage or you have to deliver a presentation at work. Okay? Because the transferable principles are everywhere. The next stage of that is to write down your story bank. So creating a story bank is something I recommend to all of my public speaking and executive coaching clients. It takes time, but it is incredibly worthwhile. Most people have never taken the time, and it will take a few hours, but we all have it if we're honest, to go back and think through all those sliding doors moments, all of those inflection points in their life where things could have turned out so differently. Childhood memories, right? School, university, friendships, early bosses, early mentors. I want to know about the time you went all in. I want to know about the time you almost lost it all. I want to know about the time where you gambled the house and you won. I want to know about the most painful thing that ever happened to you and how your superpower is next to your biggest wound, because quite often it is. And what you'll start to do is create a cohesive and unified narrative of your life. And you'll have this bank of stories that you'll be able to tell on demand when someone asks you a question. Why do you think this way? Why do you hold this certain belief? You'll be able to articulate it because you've taken the time to write down the story bank, and you'll be able to summon all of these emotions, summon all of these lessons and principles on demand. So when it comes to public speaking, you can win the war before you fired a single shot. And that really comes down to the quality of your preparation. As I said, number one, have a high quality, high nutrition content diet. Make sure you are imbibing and ingesting quality, because rubbish in equals rubbish out. Number two, be alert. Alertness is the hidden discipline. Do not walk through this world on autopilot. Do not walk through it like a phone zombie. If you're watching something on TV, that's fine. I need to chill out too and watch things. But I'm also looking for those signals of quality. I'm looking for the techniques and the tools that the person's used to make me feel something. And you should also be doing that in your conversations, at work, at home, socially. If someone says something and it resonates, be alert to it. Why did it make me feel that way? If it was just something in your environment, again, you want to write it down. And that's number 3, write things down, right? High quality intake of material. Be alert to what's going on around you and what's being said and how you're feeling. Number 3, write things down, because you think you're better than you are. You think you're going to remember, but you won't. You need to write things down. You need to catalog them. The act of writing things down will help you be more eloquent and help you articulate yourself more clearly, without filler words, without filler sounds, without staggering, stuttering, umming and ahhing, because you've taken the time to write out your ideas and you very firmly and clearly understand why you believe what you believe. You'll be able to pull on lessons, pull on case studies, pull on memories that will relate you to the audience. Because remember, the final point, it's always about the audience. It's not about you. Anything that you've learned in your life only becomes valuable if you can share it. And hopefully what I've shared here is valuable to you.